Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolf Pit with another episode of What Are We Eating? Does this grill look familiar? Well, this Z-Grill 700E is almost identical to my Gorilla Grill Silverback pellet grill. Well, the 700E and the Silverback may look identical, but they're not identical and it's not the same grill with a different name. That's why when I was contacted about the Z-Grill, I wanted to see for myself what the differences were, how the grill performs, and how it lasts over time. So I said sure, I'll give the 700E a try and give my audience an unbiased review, as I always do. Here's a list of a few differences if you want to pause and take a look. Since I've done the initial burn-in, I've cooked shake and bake chicken thighs, bratwurst, a lonely chicken leg quarter, hamburgers and hot dogs, and Vienna sausages. Like you, the people, already know, I'll try anything once, and sometimes I'm even dumb enough to try things twice. And if you like a somewhat crispy skin with a warm meat pudding inside, then you'll love these. But unless I'm blind drunk, I won't be trying these again. It's purely a texture thing with me. Besides the Vienna weenies, everything turned out good cooked at high heat. So in today's cook, I'm going to cook 2 small Boston butts and see how the 700E cooks at lower temperatures. The directions say to always start the 700E out in smoke mode. Then once the fire pot is lit, set your desired cooking temperature, and we're going to smoke the butts at 250 degrees. The dial controller works in increments of 25 degrees, and it's not really a big deal, but I was a little disappointed there were no probe ports. It's just nice to have versus having a secondary thermometer. Once the temperature is set at 250 degrees, close the lid and let it come up to temperature. You guys know my feelings about Walmart and some of their meats, especially their pork, which I have never seen pork in Walmart that was not enhanced. Well, that was until the other day when I found these 2 Smithfield butts, which are not enhanced. Maybe Walmart is watching the Wolf Pit and they want me to stop whining about their meats. Normally when I cook more than one Boston butt, I try to keep them pretty close to the same weight. But this time I couldn't, because these were the last 2 that Walmart had. I even had the guy check in the back. Nada. But they were close enough. One weighs 6 pounds, and the other weighs 7 pounds. Now Mrs. Wolf Pit generously rubbed my butts with Wolf Rub Original Barbecue Seasoning. And make sure you put it on generously on all sides. Once the butts are very well coated and massaged, you can refrigerate them for a couple hours or up to overnight, but it was 10 o'clock in the morning already, and these needed to be ready by dinner time. Wolf Rub Original was a sweet rub, so I couldn't do a high heat cook, so the plan was to smoke them for a little while and then wrap them in foil, which is a huge time saver. But I rarely foil because it decreases my time to drink beer. Once the butts have had a generous coating of rub and they've been properly massaged, add them to your preheated Z-Grill. And as you can see, the butt on the right wouldn't fit underneath the top rack, but it fit in just enough where I didn't have to remove it. Now close the lid and let them cook for 5 to 6 hours at 250 degrees. Here's what our butts look like after 6 hours at 250 degrees. I wasn't real happy with the sugar not melting down and forming a nice sweet spicy bark, which after 6 hours at 250 degrees, it should have, even with the amount of rub I used. I've never had an issue like this with my Wolf Rub, and I think I know the cause of it. The temperature of the Z-Grill continuously fluctuated plus or minus 25 degrees for the entire cook. It never stabilized at 250 degrees. It was either cooking as low as 225 degrees or as high as 275 degrees, which really shouldn't be the case with a pellet grill. Plus or minus 5 degrees is normal, but not a 25 degree swing. But even with the fluctuating temperatures, the color was very nice, and we decided to foil them since it was already 4 p.m. and we were planning on having dinner soon. We didn't have a whole lot of aluminum foil left, so we just foiled the butts together. Once they were foiled, they went back into the Z-Grill, and I had no choice but to increase the temperature to 325 degrees. Another thing I noticed about the Z-Grill is it produced smoke for the entire cook, which is also unusual for pellet grills. Pellet grills will smoke periodically during the cook, but I've never seen one that produces smoke for the entire cook like the Z-Grill. But the smoke it was producing was the nice, clean, light blue smoke, so that's not a big deal at all. After a couple hours at 325 degrees, our pork butts were ready. Since we were in a hurry for dinner, we opened up the foil and let them cool down and rest for about 30 minutes. After the rest, it was time to pull the meat, and of course Mrs. Wolfe did the honors. Look at those wonderful pork juices. If I could pour that in a shot glass, I'd be a happy man. You could drain and defat the juices if you like, but I don't like, and I leave them in. The bones came out clean and smooth, like a baby's bottom. Now using your hands, bare claws, or 2 forks, which is what we always use to pull pork, and start pulling the pork. And remove any nasties or excess fat that you don't want in there. Thank you, Mrs. Wolfe, for pulling the pork. You do such a good job, you've earned the title of the Master Pork Puller. Once all the pork's pulled, give it a taste. And look at how nice and moist that is. And although it's already delicious, we added a little bit more Wolfe rub for a little more sweet heat. And then give it one last mix, and it's time to eat. Now make a meat mountain of the tender, succulent pork on your favorite roll. And we're using potato rolls. Once all the pulled pork is on the bun, I like to add homemade coleslaw, or just plain slaw like we call it in the South. And I really don't like barbecue sauce on my pulled pork sandwiches. Being from North Carolina, I have to have Texas Pete. Texas Pete is the Frank's Red Hot of the South. We put that shit on everything. And there you have it, a beautiful pulled pork sandwich. Now squish it down and give it a big old bite. And this pulled pork turned out as good as any pulled pork I've made. It's tender, it's smoky, spicy and sweet, and very moist. It's just overall delicious. Even Mrs. Wolfe gave it a try, which surprised me because she doesn't like hot sauce, and she agreed. It was delicious. Thank you all very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, share it with your family and friends, leave a comment, and I'll see you soon.